Hey guys, it's Jeremy Hero, Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What I have today, guys, is next edition of my top 10 albums of each year. If you're new to the channel, what I've been doing is I started back in 1970, where metal all began, and I've been working my way through the years chronologically, picking my top 10 albums of each year. 1970s only did top 5. It wasn't as much metal back then or hard rock as to select from. And then when I got into the 80s, I bumped it up to top 10. So if you are new to the channel and you like these kind of lists, definitely check out my playlist to check out from 1970 up till 2002. So it's over 30 videos to check out. And let me know what you think of those. But today, guys, we're exploring the year 2003. To be honest, generally the 2000s has been more of a struggle to find really good albums compared to obviously the previous years. Even in the 90s, surprisingly had some better years overall. But 2002 was a really solid year for albums. I was kind of surprised how many good albums came out that year. And 2001 as well had some good ones. But 2003 I found to be a struggle, to be honest. I was kind of scraping to try to find something that was decent, that I liked. But let's jump right in, guys, so the video's not too long. At number 10, I went with the second studio album from the mighty Gojira called The Link. This is when they were more of a straightforward death metal band. They had some progressive elements back then, but not quite as much as today. Definitely more heavy, more raw sounding compared to their newer stuff. Not quite as polished, but still really solid album. Love this band, really good stuff. At number 9, I went with the debut album from Trivium. A lot of people give flack to Trivium, saying, oh, they're not real metal, posers like Trivium. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I always like Trivium. I have most of their albums on CD. I have to pick up the last couple albums. I haven't got them yet, but always enjoyed this band. Pretty heavy stuff still. Great guitar work. Great vocals from Matt Heafy. I always enjoyed this band. I'm not sure why they get so much hate from the elitist, as we call them, metal elitist. But they're a good band. I like them a lot. Debut was really solid. Another album that might give me some hate on the channel, but the third studio album from the band Godsmack. I'm not the biggest Godsmack fan, but I dig some of their albums, and this is the one of the ones I really enjoy. Some songs that stood out to me on this one were I Stand Alone, Straight Outta Line, Realign. Just some really good stuff on this album. I think I remember hearing them open up for Metallica on this album. It kind of stuck with me, and I picked up this album and I was pleasantly surprised. Just a fun album to listen to and still has some heaviness. At number 7, I have the fifth studio album from melodic death metal band Soilwork. Really good band. Love the Swedish Gothenburg kind of sound. And it's a really, really solid album. Not one of their best overall in my opinion, but really solid and good enough to make my list for 2003. Really solid tracks. And at number 6, I have the 12th studio album from the mighty Overkill from the east coast of the US called Killbox 13. Really solid album. These guys didn't really make a bad album in my opinion. They're really consistent all the way through their career. And this is another solid album. Not one of my favorites from their catalog overall, but still they put out consistent work and still fun to listen to from time to time. And at number 5, I have Iron Maiden's Dance of Death. Probably one of their worst album covers of all time, but still has some really solid tracks on it, such as No More Lies, Rainmaker, Wildest Dreams. Just some really solid stuff on here still, some great tunes. Definitely worth a listen. At number 4, this isn't really considered metal, so before you guys get up my ass about it not being metal, I guess it'd be considered new metal, if anything. But Linkin Park, Meteora. I always enjoyed Linkin Park. I enjoyed their sound. They had a very unique sound, very different from everybody else. The way they incorporated the turntables and different rhythms and different sounds, but always loved Chester's vocals. One of my favorite kind of alternative singers. He had a really raspy, kind of powerful voice. I really liked him. Rest in peace, Chester. You're sorely missed. But this album just has so many iconic songs from this band. Somewhere I Belong, Faint, Breaking the Habit, Numb. Just some really good songs from this band. And I've seen them live a bunch of times and always good live band too. At number 3, I went with the 6th studio album from Catatonia. entitled Viva Emptiness. I love this band. Very, very depressive, kind of somber, kind of metal. Always love their sound. Very unique. You can always tell it's Catatonia right away. Lead vocalist has a very distinct sound to his voice and is always catchy. And this has always been one of my favorite Catatonia albums. Probably top 3 or 4 for sure. Always love this band. Always try to pick up all their new stuff when it comes out. And at number 2, I went with Children of Bodom's 4th album, Hate Crew Death Roll. Always a big fan of Bodom growing up. Had all their albums. I think the last one I still have to pick up. I haven't got it yet, but always loved this album. Really fast and heavy. Great guitar work from Alexi and vocals. He's sorely missed as well. Died way too young. Just a great frontman and guitarist. Super underrated guitarist. He was a shredder. And always loved this album. One of my favorites from the band. And at number 1, guys, might not be any surprise if you've been watching the channel. My all-time favorite band is Opeth. And their Damnation album, their 7th studio album, was released in 2003. So it had to be my number 1. Just a beautiful album. This is where they had Damnation and Deliverance come out back-to-back, year back-to-back. And Damnation was the softer of the two. But it's just so beautiful. The composition of these songs, some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard in my life, to be honest with you. And it's an experience every time you listen to it. If you're not into softer music, or if you like Opeth's like heavier stuff, give this a chance. It's super, super epic. So that's it for my list today, guys. Let me know down below what your top 10 from 2003 would be. And stay tuned for 2004 coming up hopefully shortly. And until next time, guys, keep it metal.